I gotta admit it, I was prepared to come on here to eulogize about Chelsea's poor defense for the second game in a row, but that would be burying the lead because we have that stone cold killer, Cole Palmer. Chelsea play host to Man United at Stamford Bridge and emerge 4-3 winners. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour.
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P. for what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Manchester United. But before I get into any of that, you already know the routine. I need you to do me that favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button if you haven't already. It'll help me and it'll help my sponsors who go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Wow, what a game, what a game, what a game. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I was truly prepared to just berate Chelsea for their poor defensive performance for the second game in a row. I actually had to turn off the game to go pick up my kid at about the 90th minute. And so I didn't even see the turnaround. I was just walking to go pick up my son thinking, how am I going to put together this match review? What is going to be the contents of it? You know, what am I going to be focusing on? And I felt like I was going to have to focus on the defense once again, because once again, Chelsea were so poor defensively. So poor defensively, so poor in the transition. The only real actions that we got in the game were offensively, and we had a lot of it. We were certainly very good in the final third. We did a lot of good actions there and whatnot. But again, this just goes to show you what type of team we have right now. We don't have a balanced side. We have a team that is very cavalier in the final third, looking to get bodies forward, create opportunities to score goals. But at the back end, we are just a shambles. We put so much pressure on these defenders that we have with the way that we play, and it just leads to mistake after mistake after mistake. But I don't want to go there. I don't want to focus most of the conversation on Chelsea's defensive shape for the second video in a row. We're going to be talking about that guy, that stone cold killer by the name of Cole Palmer. I know I've spoken on him before, but he deserves it after a match like this. You know, very good in all phases of the game, and of course with the crucial penalties and that goal, the winner late in extra time. We're also going to be looking at Chelsea's structure, in transition, and why we saw so much room for the likes of Antony and Garnacho when they were counterattacking Chelsea. So stay tuned, we're going to get right into it right now. Now, for about the sixth match in a row, Chelsea have conceded 2 or more goals in a Premier League game, and it's unacceptable. We just lack the balance, the structure, the defensive awareness, the defensive structure to really impose ourselves on teams and see out matches where we are up 2-0. Like this previous game against Manchester United. Chelsea get off to a really great start. Conor Gallagher finding the back of the net, and later on we see a penalty awarded to Cucurella, and Cole Palmer takes it from the spot. And from there, about the 25-minute mark gone, Chelsea again just lacked the defensive structure to see out matches, and it reared its ugly head once again. I'm not going to focus too heavily on that specifically, because I felt like for the most part Chelsea really struggled to find the midfield, really struggled to play through the midfield and control the tempo and pace of the game. And part of that was due to the fact of how we set up offensively. I want to focus on the midfield in this game. I want to focus on our transitional play in the midfield. And for the most part, when I watched the game the first time, I was really disappointed with the performance of Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher as well, just because I felt like we didn't have any control of the midfield. In a game where you're playing against Maino, Casemiro, and Fernandez, you expect Chelsea to have the lion's share of possession, Chelsea to be controlling the tempo and pace of the game. And I just really felt like we did a poor job of that in the first half, and then even worse in the second half. But I think a lot of that came down to the game plan of both teams. Obviously Chelsea were looking to thrust as many bodies forward as they possibly can, try and get into the attack in third, We're trying to hit them on the counter. We're trying to get numbers forward. And conversely, I thought that United were also looking to, play high up the pitch, hit us on the counter, and bypass the midfield. So for large spells in that second half, we were just seeing end to end, like one box to the next. And, both teams just very little playing through the middle of the pitch, very little control in the match. It was just counterattack after counterattack. And in the case of Man United, they were looking to target our wide men. They were looking to target the likes of Cucurella with Antony, and they were looking to target Disasi or Gusto in wide areas with Garnacho. And it was working in the second half, specifically where Chelsea were being caught out time and time again, Cucurella in particular being caught out time and time again by the pace and technique of Antony. And, obviously a lot of this comes down to, Cucurella is not really the most fleet of foot, not the most defensively switched on at times, and when he's pressed up the pitch, where he doesn't really offer a lot in the final third anyways. He's often caught out and doesn't have to make up speed to get back and, get goal side in front of Antony. And, a lot of the mistakes that we saw in the first half and in the second half came down to the fact that they so easily played the ball out to the flank and got right into our defense and destabilized our back line just because we were so pressed up the pitch, and Cucurella just couldn't handle Antony on that flank. Conversely, on the other side, obviously Gusto was very much pressed up the pitch as well, providing the overlap or the width to Cole Palmer, who was more than likely cutting inside to create space out wide for Gusto in the overlap. And of course, Gusto wasn't the one that was mainly caught out against Garnacho in this game. It was Disasi for all intents and purposes. You do not want to see Disasi isolated against an attacker who's pacey and, has some tricky, some technical ability and is tricky. And we found that too often in this game in particular. So for me, it was just the fact that we did nothing to really address the true threat in the game, which was United on the counter-attack, isolating our defenders in wide areas and then looking for, the crossfield passes where they found a couple opportunities to score goals. And I'm left asking myself the exact same question as I did last time. Where is Chelsea's defensive structure? Where is the balance within this team? And there was a lot of individual errors. We'll get into that. Obviously, Chelsea were not the most sound defensively, and the players like Caicedo, Badiashile, Disasi, every now and then Enzo, Cucurella, all these guys made individual errors that led to goal-scoring opportunities for Manchester United. But I'm left asking myself now, are those errors specifically down to the players? Obviously, they're making the individual errors, but it's the way we set up the team that is forcing them into those errors. We're so cavalier and pushing so many bodies forward up the pitch. It's putting our defenders into a precarious position where they're uncomfortable defending 1v1. Yet, regardless of what the scenario is in with the game, where Chelsea are up 2-0, 3-1, wherever the score situation is, we do not change our tactics to accommodate and take the pressure off of the defense. It just seems to be like we're always gun-ho going forward, looking for more goals, as opposed to showing some balance and showing some rest periods where we can come back, hold our shape a little bit, and look to hurt teams on the counter and whatnot. I mean, we did it to perfection under Tuchel, under Conte, where, Chelsea established a one goal lead, and then we have the structure and shape and ability to snuff out danger against the opposition once we get that lead. And it just seems like with Chelsea, the way that we defend right now and the way that we approach games, we're always on the front foot and there's no respite. It just seems like we don't have a plan B when we're up in the game. We don't have the ability to just soak up pressure and, hit teams on the counter. And, the solidity in the defense is a big problem, but I feel like a lot of the issues that we're facing right now is the fact that we're never looking to be, a compact, tight defense when we're up in games. And that falls squarely on the shoulders of the manager. He's putting these players in positions where they're uncomfortable. They've shown it time and time again. Badiashile makes mistake after mistake after mistake and seems to have no support around him time and time again, regardless of what the situation is within the game. And, you expect when you see it happening over and over again that you adjust your tactics to accommodate the players that you have on the pitch. And I feel like for whatever reason, Pochettino seems to just have this one-track mind of just going forward, holding onto the ball, trying to thrust as many bodies forward in the attacking third, and it leaves us so exposed. And, the responsibility of the midfielders was completely eliminated in the game, with United playing, a little bit more on the counter, sucking us in and then hitting us out in wide areas and whatnot. And it just felt like the entire match, we made no adjustments to deal with that threat out wide. We had made no adjustments to provide support for the likes of Disasi, for the likes of Cucurella, for the likes of Badiashile. That screen that isn't supposed to exist naturally in front of our back line was non-existent. Caicedo had a very, very poor game, I will admit that. But, most of the game, you felt that he was very much thrusting forward as well. He wasn't really looking to protect the back line, him and Enzo for that matter. And, a lot of the talk was that Chelsea had no, midfield, control and whatnot. And while that was true, I think it had more to do with the fact that we just were not looking to control the game or the pace of the game and whatnot. We wanted to destabilize it a bit so we can get players running at their defense. And while it did work in attacking areas, it just didn't provide us with enough balance to really have influence in this match and see it out, really. Chelsea up 2-0 under Thomas Tuchel, under Conte, under Jose Mourinho, you're feeling like that's a safe lead. You're feeling like we're going to be able to see out this match, maybe go on to score some more. Chelsea with a 2-0 lead under Mauricio Pochettino, it just never feels safe because we don't have the structure in place to, balance out what we're doing well offensively in the defensive aspect of the game. And I really feel like this is an aspect of the game that we have to work on if we're going to look for opportunities to shoot up the table and challenge, tougher opponents. But truly, enough about our defense. I can go on for hours about our defensive structure, our shape, our awareness, all the things that you want to see Chelsea be rock solid in defensively. We just lack it in every way, shape, or form. I can go on for hours about that, but I really think that we have to focus the attention on, the fact that we were able to come back late into a match, win a game against, a fierce rival for the first time in quite some time. And that guy, that stone cold killer who just puts everyone on his back and carries them over the line, Cole Palmer, what a performance. Regardless of the fact that two of his goals were penalties, which weren't necessarily created by him, I thought his overall game in possession, in transition, in the final third was very, very impressive. I don't think that he made a wrong decision through the entire match. Every time the ball was at his feet, he made the right choices. He weighted the passes correctly. And he was just a menace all up and down the pitch. Clearly, easily the best player on the pitch by a mile, by a country mile. Showed his quality every time he touched the ball. And, this is the type of performance that you can now start to see that this guy is a high performer, high-level performer for this Chelsea side. He's a guy that you can utilize in crucial situations to get you out of troubling scenarios. Obviously, at 3-2 down with 8 minutes left in the game, you do not expect Chelsea to come back in situations like that. You just don't see it very often. But obviously, when you have a guy like Cole Palmer, who is just so sound mentally, ice cold, ice in the veins, a guy that, you couldn't really tell if he had that ability to take the responsibility on himself when he was at Manchester City, because he wasn't really given the opportunities to do that, to be that person. But when you see him in this Chelsea setup where he is specifically the man that we give the responsibility to be the difference maker for us in the final third, he doesn't wilt. He doesn't become, a shrinking violet. He takes on the responsibility and is the guy that often gets us over the line. The composure that it requires to be an effective penalty taker, the composure that it requires to take a last minute winner in the 100th minute. The latest goal that's ever been scored in the Premier League as a winner was that one, and it was Cole Palmer. And I just give him a lot of credit. I didn't know that he had this ice mentality in his makeup, and that's the one thing that's putting him on that next level as far as his evolution goes. The fact that yes, he has all the talent and ability, but he also has the cool head when he's in pressure situations. And now it's just about finding the pieces of that complement his game a little bit more. But with that, I'm just gonna wrap it up there. Chelsea, I don't want to keep harping on it, but it was a poor performance again in transition and defensively. I don't want to harp on it because we did manage to get all 3 points courtesy of Cole Palmer, which was unbelievable. Like, I still can't believe that we turned this game around. I cannot believe it. You know, after what I saw when we went down 3-2, you know, we're good in the final third. We're still creating opportunities and whatnot. We were still in possession of the football for large chunks of the game, but we weren't really at the point where I felt like we were going to hurt, you know, Man United at the 80-minute mark, 90-minute mark. I just didn't see a way in. And, you know, you can tell that, you know, the mentality of the squad has improved immensely because they didn't give up. You saw Enzo going for it. You saw Enzo getting into the face of Mason Mount. Who didn't love seeing that? You saw, you know, the sidelines, the terraces, the stands. Everyone was pulling for Chelsea to at least get a point here. And it was the first time in quite some time that I felt like we were unified as a squad, as a club, you know, supporters, you know, and players and management all pulling for the same result, and we were able to get it. And let's just hope, I mean, I said this before so many times, like, can we make this a galvanizing performance? Can we use this to kick on throughout to the end of the season and get ourselves, you know, a little bit further up the table, maybe even challenge for that FA Cup, maybe even challenge for a European position? You know, that's what we want to do, just use this performance as a building block for the future, because it was an emotional performance. It was one where you expect to have a kick-on effect at the weekend against Sheffield. And, you know, if Mauricio Pochettino has anything about him, he will be able to coax another performance out of these guys using this as the catalyst. But until then, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chelsea. Peace.